This is not about ideology. This is not about religion. This is about empire. This is about Israel wanting to expand its empire into Lebanon, into obviously the West Bank and Gaza. And the only challenge to that empire building that Israel has been engaging in has been Iran.
A meaningful negotiation should be based on trust. And unfortunately, we have lost our trust to the United States as a negotiating partner. It is obvious to us that there are certain elements, certain parties who want to drag President Trump into this war for their own benefits.
That was the foreign minister of Iran, and the other elements he's referring to in regard to dragging Trump into war with Iran is Israel. So let's just call a spade a spade. Unfortunately, the US military has now shot down 2 Iranian drones in the Arabian Sea. This happened this afternoon. US Central Command spokesperson Tim Hawkins said that a US fighter jet from the USS Abraham Lincoln shot down the Iranian drone in self-defense and to protect the aircraft carrier and personnel on board. Now, remember, there's a huge military buildup, US military buildup off the coast of, or very close to Iran in that region, intentionally to threaten Iran. And Iran had sent some surveillance drones toward the USS Abraham Lincoln, which have now been shot down by the US.
Yeah, so we're gonna explain to you why Iran is so skeptical about us and our negotiations in a second. And there's things in this story that make me worried that Iran's capabilities are better than I suspected.
Why would you be worried about that?
Well, because of how it might affect America. I could care less what it does to
play
Israel.
stupid games, win stupid prizes.
Yeah, well, yes, but this is our country. So if Israel wants to start that war and Iran does whatever they'd want to do to Israel, that's their business, and I couldn't care less. If you want me to care, it's a weird ask. Oh, I started a war and I tried to murder all of them, but you have to care about me. No, no deal at all. Now, who am I referring to? Obviously the Israelis. So you're gonna also see in this story, the mask off. The Israelis like, yeah, it's us. The protesters are gone, we never cared about them. Shut up and do this war for us, America. And you're gonna see proof of that here.
All right, so let's get you the details. According to Reuters, the Iranian shared 139 drone was flying toward the USS Abraham Lincoln carrier and was shot down by an F-35 US fighter jet about 500 miles off the coast of Iran. Now, the strike took place against the backdrop of the possible nuclear negotiations that the United States possibly will engage in with Iran this coming Friday. Now, I say possibly because things are very shaky, very tentative right now because of the fact that there is a lack of trust. I think it's obvious at this point. So Trump was on the cusp of launching strikes against Iran just 3 weeks ago, but held off after Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister of Israel, let him know that, well, Israel isn't militarily prepared to withstand an attack from Iran should we begin a war at this very moment. So Trump luckily backed off. I don't like the fact that he's allowing the leader of a foreign country to dictate US foreign policy, but alas, we live in the United States, which is occupied and governed by the Israelis, so this is what we're dealing with. Now, talks are supposed to take place in Istanbul, Turkey this coming Friday. However, the Iranians want to move the talks from Istanbul to Oman. Unclear if that destroys the chances of these negotiations taking place on Friday. In other words, there's really, considering the people involved in the negotiating, I don't have a lot of optimism here, right? We're talking about various figures who are not really interested in peace and do Israel's bidding. We're talking about Jared Kushner, who's gonna be there for the negotiations. Steve Witkoff, who in the very beginning of Trump's second term, I had a little bit of hope for. No longer, I have no hope for Witkoff. These people are warmongers. These people are not interested in forging actual peace negotiations. They're there on behalf of themselves and the Israelis. Senior representatives from Turkey, Qatar, and Egypt are also expected to attend these negotiations in Istanbul, Turkey, if they proceed. Now, again, here's why I say that. On Tuesday, Witkoff landed in Israel for talks about Iran with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the head of Israel's Mossad spy agency, David Barnea, as well as other security chiefs, and that's according to 2 Israeli officials. And Iran's president has basically instructed the foreign minister of Iran to only meet with US officials provided that a suitable environment from threats and unreasonable expectations do not exist, right? So Trump claims he's serious about pursuing peace, but he said he was serious about pursuing peace prior to bombing Iran's nuclear facilities. And so as a result of that, Iran's foreign minister told CNN this past weekend that, there are some trust issues here. Let's take a quick look at that.
A meaningful negotiation should be based on trust. And unfortunately, we have lost our trust to the United States as a negotiating partner. And the reason is obvious. We negotiated in 2015. Everybody celebrated that when we concluded the deal, JCPOA, and the US withdrew with no justification. That belongs to 10 years ago. Let's talk about last year, only 10 months ago, when in June we decided to negotiate with the United States. And we were negotiating when they had decided to attack us. It first is Israel and then the US joined. So we don't have any good experience, any positive experience of talking with Americans. And in order to have a meaningful negotiation, we need to overcome this mistrust.
While he cites, I think, legitimate reasons for not trusting the Trump administration in wanting to engage in peace negotiations or nuclear negotiations, it's funny because you'll hear from Caroline Leavitt, White House press secretary, who claims that, really the individuals who shouldn't be trusted are the Iranians. Let's just take a look at that video and I'll go to you, Jake.
President Trump is always wanting to pursue diplomacy first, but obviously it takes 2 to tango. You need a willing partner to achieve diplomacy, and that's something that Special Envoy Witkoff is intent on exploring and discussing. As always, though, of course, the president has a range of options on the table with respect to Iran as commander-in-chief. I think they learned that quite well last year with the strike in Operation Midnight Hammer, which was wildly successful and obliterated their nuclear capabilities.
So why are we even having a conversation about bombing Iran? If their nuclear facilities have been obliterated, what are we having a conversation about right now? Like, what is this?
So it goes to the exact point here. So I think we're almost definitely going to go to war. I'll explain that throughout the video. But so first, as to why the negotiations are not going to work. So look, now a lot of you realize, whether you're on the left, right, or anywhere else, that the government lies nonstop, right? So when we were growing up, we were told these fairy tales from establishment media. Oh yeah, the government tells you the truth. Anything that isn't the government is a conspiracy theory. Nonsense. So in this particular case, the facts are that as we were in the middle of the last negotiations, as the Iranian brother said there, we bombed them. And in fact, on top of that, and you guys saw this with your own eyes, so you don't have to trust the Iranians, right? I trust no government, right? Trump then came out and said, I tricked them. They're so stupid. They thought we were doing peace negotiations. And then boom, I bombed them. I'm so smart. Well, who's gonna do negotiations with that guy after that? But that's actually the tip of the iceberg, because the Israelis murder peace negotiators on the regular. So they tried to, in the midst of that so-called peace negotiations, the Israelis tried to murder the top Iranian negotiator. Now there's reports that he had been killed, that was later withdrawn. Turns out he's alive, but they tried to murder him. They tried to murder the top Hamas negotiators in Qatar. That caused a huge problem because Israel doesn't want peace, which then gets back to, wait a minute, Caroline Leavitt, you're right, Anna said it too. We knocked out their nukes, so what's the problem? Well, that goes to the very, very core of the issue, because Israel wants regime change. They want to put a dictator, they call him the Shah, back in charge of Iran, and his job is to be a cuck for Israel and make sure the Iranians do nothing to help Palestinians or anyone else, and that they are loyal servants of Israel. So now you say, wait, Jake, are you sure about that? Well, they said it was about the nukes. They always say it's about weapons of mass destruction. And it turns out we knocked him out, so that's not it at all. Then the Israelis went to, well, we have to knock out all of their missiles. Wait a minute, every country has ballistic missiles? Or nearly every country does, certainly major countries. And how do we know when we knocked out all their missiles? Oh, another purposely impossible standard, like all of Hamas has to surrender and they all have to turn their weapons in. Well, how do we know who all of Hamas is and how many weapons they have? That's right, you don't know. Permanent war. Plus, Israel tried to murder all their negotiators, both Iran and Hamas. So, and then finally, Anna, this is the critical part, our demands. Our demands are preposterous. Now we moved it from get rid of your nuclear program to get rid of all of your missiles, and we want you to do everything Israel wants. That's not a thing. That's not. So that's why Iran, as Anna's about to tell you, has become a lot more aggressive. And it's making me worried that they know something we don't know about their capabilities.
Well, in that CNN interview, the foreign minister said something really interesting. He said that they found their weaknesses and their flaws during the 12-day war. And as a result of that, they were able to bolster their military capabilities. Now, he could be bluffing, I have no idea.
I don't think he is, and I'll tell you why.
Okay, hold on. I hope he's not. I hope he's not. Okay, listen, here's the thing. I am so sick of Israel getting away with dragging us into wars that we should not be fighting. And Israel knows. We go in and attack Iran. Iran has threatened Israel. And Israel's Iron Dome and all those defense capabilities that they have, most of which are paid for by us, the US taxpayers.
All of it is.
Right? Apparently it's not strong enough to withstand all of Iran's attacks, as we learned during the 12-day war, right? Israel is fully dependent on the United States for its military capabilities. So I just think if at some point they have to learn lessons. They can't keep starting wars thinking that there's never gonna be any punishment for them, any consequences for them.
And that's why they keep killing and attacking all of their neighbors, because they think, who cares? It's just worthless Muslim lives. None of the precious, precious Israeli lives have been lost.
Let me be very clear with you, Cenk. I want to be very clear with you, and I want everyone else in the audience to understand. If that region was 100% Christian, okay, we would be hearing about radical Christian extremists day in and day out in this country. I guarantee it. We would hear fear mongering about Christians in this country. I guarantee it. This is not about ideology. This is not about religion. This is about empire. This is about Israel wanting to expand its empire into Lebanon, into obviously the West Bank and Gaza. And the only challenge to that empire building that Israel has been engaging in has been Iran. Yes, Iran does fund its proxies, right? Whether it's Hezbollah or Hezbollah mainly. The Houthis is another example. When does Hezbollah or the Houthis get involved in pushing back against Israel? When Israel's trying to expand, when Israel is trying to annex land in countries that they don't belong in, like Lebanon, for instance, right? And they don't want that. They don't want any challenge to their empire building. That's what this is really about.
Yeah, so just again, overwhelming proof. American media lies to you en masse and pretends it's about self-defense. Israel took 53% of Gaza. Did they or did they not? They did, you could look it up. Are they ever gonna give it back? No, Kushner's planning to build condos on it right now, on the graves of Palestinian children. Why did Kushner go to Iran? He probably wanted to see, where can I build condos after we murder your children on behalf of Israel? Okay, so now, let's talk about why Israel's a little worried and Iran seems to be aggressive. Iran had brought a drone close to one of our ships. We shot it down, and they've done a couple of aggressive actions now, which they had not done before, which leads me to think, they're saying, what are you gonna do? You gonna hit us? Go ahead, hit us, we're ready now, okay? So I'm very surprised by that. And now, in terms of the weaknesses, before I thought maybe Iran was huffing and puffing. You might remember me saying, I don't know what capabilities they have, right? But it's obvious based on the Israeli reaction that I'm reading that Iran has found weaknesses in Iron Dome. So Israel's like telling America, you gotta kill him, you gotta kill him, and you better get to our defense and surround us with defense. So, but by the way, not don't attack them. It might also kill some of our civilians. War is not a good idea. No, they always demand war and compliance and obedience. And so they are demanding we obey them and we defend them and. No, brother, you start a war, that's your goddamn business, not mine. Hey, here's how you can avoid it right now. If you're in Israel and you're worried, does the world hate us? Okay, yes, they do because of your actions. Because of your actions, not because of who you are. If you want to avoid pain and conflict, here's a simple idea. Don't start this war. So, but Anna's about to tell you all the propaganda and all the pressure. America, you better do what Israel says. You think it's hyperbole? Listen to the quotes.
So, listen, I don't trust Barak Ravid's reporting in Axios at all. I think that he is a operative of the Israelis. And the reason why I say that is because there is no daylight between Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. There just isn't. And we keep seeing reporting from him over and over again about like, there's significant disagreement between the United States and Israel. So keep that in mind as I tell you about Axios's latest reporting, because they're claiming, nah, Trump's not feeling it. I mean, 3 weeks ago, he was ready to strike and was talked out of it by the Israelis. But now suddenly Trump is not really buying the argument that we should strike Iran. So let me give you the details here. So apparently there was a US official, unidentified, anonymous source who spoke to Axios and said, it's really the Israelis who want to strike. The president is just not there. I don't believe it. But it continues. Back in June, the president had believed Iran's nuclear activities posed a legitimate imminent threat, the official said. He does not feel that way here. Okay, so what was different 3 weeks ago? What was different 3 weeks ago? Are we really gonna buy that Trump was worried about Iranian protesters 3 weeks ago? Because our protesters are getting gunned down here in the United States. He doesn't give a damn about protesters here in the US or anywhere else.
This is exactly what Barak Ravid reported before we bombed Iran last time.
That's right.
Oh, don't worry, Trump is not listening to the Israelis. He must have been laughing his ass off. He's like, all right, I'm former IDF soldier. Did I do good, Israel? Did I do good? Did I trick the Iranians by pretending to be news in America? Yeah, Barak, I've lost all faith in you. All you do is report Israeli crap and purposely to mislead the American people. You don't do news, you do propaganda. What's next?
So 3 of Trump's advisors also told Axios they think launching a military operation now wouldn't be the right way to go. One of them said that skepticism holds for many in Trump's close orbit. I don't believe that either. I think everyone surrounding Donald Trump, including JD Vance, love war, salivate over war, and just want the cookies that non-interventionists would get from American voters. Pay close attention to JD Vance, especially as people try to launder his reputation and make it seem as though a creation, someone who's manufactured by Peter Thiel of all people, is anti-war. Not buying it at all. Mark Levin, of course, applying pressure, but get a load of his latest post on X. He says, how about this time we listen to Bibi rather than dictate to him? Bitch, he takes our money. How about he shut the F up and listen to us, the American people? For once
in his life.
Yeah. Of course, he's right. The Iranian Nazi Islamist mass murdering genocidal regime cannot be trusted to keep its word. What about Israel? What about the mass slaughter that Israel just carried out? You want to talk about a genocidal regime? Come on, Mark.
Okay, but like that.
Go leave the country, please. Go live in Israel. Go do like Jonathan Pollard. You don't love the United States. Get out of here.
Don't worry, Sheldon Adelson will provide you a private jet just like he did for Jonathan Pollard. By the way, in the Epstein files, we find out, we'll talk more about it a little bit later in the show, that John Bolton just worked for Sheldon Adelson while he was in the White House. Reported to him, did whatever he asked him to do, and Sheldon Adelson, guess what he wanted? War on behalf of Israel. Of course. Yet all of our media, what a bunch of pathetic losers, sitting around going, I don't know what's happening. Is there any outside control of our government? Is it the Russians? Is it the Chinese? You pathetic losers pretending to be journalists. Okay,
Listen,
now to Mark Levin. Wait, I said Israel would push, the Israeli first guys would push, you better go to war, right? And so Mark Levin, as usual, is doing it. But listen, did you see what he said? We shouldn't question the Israeli leader. We need to do exactly as Bibi orders us to do. You think that guy's an American? He doesn't care about America at all. He actively, literally says, you must follow Israeli orders. Obviously, he cares about Israel and not America. He says it himself. It's super obvious. So F Israel first. All they want to do is damage to America, and then they're going to leave us and go to another host country like India and go, oh, we have a Hindu Judeo heritage, hate the Muslims.
Great, leave us alone. That's all I care
about. Get away from us, man.
Yeah.
When Israel starts the war and gets our guys killed,
they will.
You should know who did this to you. And the people who did this to you are the Israelis. And there's no ands, ifs, or buts. The Norwegians and the Bolivians aren't driving us into this war. They're not gonna get our troops killed. They're not gonna spend trillions of our money. It's the Israelis. And the entire United States media has been lying to you in mass to protect their beloved Israel. All right, report one thing from the Epstein files about Israel. Otherwise, God, you mask off, totally off. New York Times, ABC, every one of them works for Israel. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.